G'day, Kate here from Narrate Church. Today Caleb speaks to us on the importance of feedback. It's not always easy to initiate feedback, and quite often it's even harder to receive it. Our relationships can become healthier and in turn more valuable if we choose to lead by opening up the lines of communication, learning how to graciously and truthfully give and accept feedback from those we trust the most.
I'm Caleb. Welcome. Thrilled that you're here. Thanksgiving was good, hopefully, for all of you guys. December, which means Christmas decorations and Christmas music is officially okay, by the way, which you guys, half of you guys probably already been listening to Christmas music for a week anyway, so you don't care, so never mind. Anyway, so we're in week number 4 of a series called We Need You to Lead, and if you haven't been with us for the past month or for the past couple of weeks, the series has really been about some key leadership principles that we think can help us become better leaders and really help us lead more effectively. And what we've said from the beginning, that we're all leaders, that no matter what stage of life you're in or where you're at in life, that we all have chances and opportunities to lead, that whether you're a middle school, a high school, a college-age student leading in the classroom, or you're a professional leading in the workplace, or even a stay-at-home mom, that you too have an opportunity, have a chance to lead. And so to wrap up the series today, I want to talk about this idea of feedback, which I really think is central to becoming a better leader and really just leading life well, because as we'll discover this morning, that feedback is one of the greatest tools that we have as parents, as students, as a spouse, as employees, as an employer, can have to grow and to improve and to become better. And so to get us started this morning, I want to start off with a thought experiment, because I like thought experiments and the hypothetical. And so imagine that you took your car to get to an automotive place to get a tune-up. And so you go and pick it up, you go to the shop, you find the technician that worked on your car, and the technician tells you your car's in great shape, it's good to go. In fact, you could drive all the way to Texas and back if you wanted to. I don't know who would want to go to Texas, but if you did, you could. And in fact, you must be an automotive genius to have taken such great care of this car. And so you leave the shop, and later that day you're driving along, and all of a sudden your brakes go out. And later you find out that you're out of brake fluid. So you go back to the shop, and you're like, dude, I'm out of brake fluid. Like, why didn't you tell me there was a problem with my car? Well, why didn't you tell me the truth? Why didn't you tell me there was an issue? And the technician looks at you and says, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings. To be honest, I don't want to make you feel bad. And I want this to be a safe place, a place where you feel loved and accepted. And so that's why I didn't tell you. You'd be furious, right? You'd be like, no. When it comes to my car, I want to know the truth. I want to know if there's a problem so that way I can fix the problem. You'd be like, I didn't come here for an ego boost, for a slap on the butt. I came here for the truth. Or imagine you went to the doctor's office, get a checkup, and the doctor starts doing their whole thing, checking your heart, drawing some blood, samples, x-rays, doing the knee thing, what is it? The reflex? I'm not a doctor, don't judge me. And so they get done, and the doctor looks at you and says, wow, you're in great shape. You should be congratulated. You have the body of an Olympian. That's what we all want to hear when we go to the doctor. And so you leave feeling pretty proud about yourself. And if you're a guy, you call your wife and you're like, see, I told you I didn't need to go to the doctor. I have the body of an Olympian. That was a waste of my time and money, all right? A couple weeks down the road, you're climbing a set of stairs and your heart gives out. And later you find out that your arteries are so clogged that you're one jelly donut away from being the Grim Reaper. And so you go back to the doctor and you're like, doctor, why didn't you tell me my arteries were clogged? Why didn't you tell me there was a problem with my heart? And the doctor looks at you and says, well, I knew you were in worse shape than the Pillsbury Doughboy, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I want this to be a safe place, a place where you feel loved and accepted. I want to be the fun guy. I don't want to tell hurtful things to people. I want you to like me. I want you to come back here. You'd be furious. You'd be like, no, no, no. When it comes to my heart, I want to know if there's a problem so that way I can take the correct steps into fixing the health issue that I have. So that way if I need to start eating healthy or start exercising, whatever that is, I want to know the truth. So you see, when it comes to something that matters to us, we want to know the truth. We want the black and white answer. We want it given to us straight. We don't want the cute, fluffy answer. We want to know if there's a problem so that way we can fix the problem. Except when the truth gets personal, except when the truth points towards us, except when the truth shows how we are as a parent maybe, and the lack of engagement with our kids, with our spouse, except when the truth shows something about our character, about our integrity, except when the truth uncovers our unfairness as a boss, the lack of discipline that we have as a student, our laziness as an employee. When the truth gets personal and it points towards us, we don't want to know the truth as much because it hurts. It shows things about us that we don't want to be shown. It reveals things that we don't want to be revealed because it's hard work. It's things that we don't want to hear. And so what ends up happening is we have this unspoken rule, this unspoken law, and it sounds a little bit like this. I won't tell you your problem, your issue, your blind spot in life, how you can become a better parent, a better spouse, if you don't tell me my blind spot, my issues, my problems, how I can become a better parent, a better spouse. Deal? Like, deal, right? And so what ends up happening is we end up deceiving ourselves, and we end up looking past our problems, past our issues. We say things like, well, everyone has that problem. And, I'm better than most people, so I'm okay. And we just end up deceiving ourselves. And we all know people that do that. We all know people that deceive themselves. But I think if we're honest, that finger that we're pointing at other people can come right back at us, because we too are good at deceiving ourselves. And so what I'd like to suggest this morning is that a person's really lack of awareness, a person's lack of getting feedback from other people, a person's lack of listening, teachability of learning, is a person's greatest barrier in life. It is a person's greatest hindrance into becoming better and to growing and to fixing the problems that we all have. And here's the thing, because those that don't know that they don't know. That's really fun to say. Let's all say that together. Those that don't know they don't know. Yeah. Which we all know those people that don't know that they don't know. You know that person that thinks they can sing, but they really can't sing, but they think they can sing? We all have one of those in our lives. Don't nudge the person next to you, otherwise they'll never sing at Narrate again. But I tell you the worst part about that person is that when you go on road trips, or you're driving in the car, every time you turn the radio on or music on, they think that's permission for them to start singing. And you're like, no, I turned on the radio so I could listen to Lady Gaga, not you sing. You're horrible. Like, please don't sing. It's even worse when there's no music and it's silence out and they just start humming and making their own music up. And it's like, no, earplugs, please. Or all you have to do is watch the American Idol tryouts. Which, is American Idol still going on, by the way? Is it? No? I don't know. But if you were like me when you would watch the American Idol tryouts, you're just asking yourself, why? Like, why on earth are these people singing? They're horrible. Please stop it. Like, why have your family not told you the truth that you can't sing? You'd be better chasing the dream of becoming an astronaut more than you would be a singer. And they seriously think they can sing, and sometimes their mom is even self-deceived too, because she flips off the camera and she's like, someday, America, my daughter's going to be a star. And you're like, no, she sucks. She shouldn't even sing. She shouldn't even sing in the shower anymore. Those who don't know, they don't know. See, if we don't know the problems that we have in life, the issues, our downfalls, then we can't fix the problems that that we have. And so without getting feedback from other people, without listening, without learning, there can be no transformative stage. There can be no growth. There can be no getting better. And there's actually a story in the Bible that captures this idea of feedback and really the thought that those who don't know, they don't know. And it's in the book of 2 Samuel. And if you've never read the book of 2 Samuel, it's about a guy named David, and David's king of Israel at that time. And in chapter 12 is where we pick up the story. But to give you a little context, Israel was at war at that time. And in chapter 11, it says that one night actually, David woke up from sleeping in his palace, and he goes to the rooftop of his palace, and he's looking out. So you can imagine David's got his bathrobe on. He's looking out across the city, looking at all this great city that he's built and all the riches and power that he has. And across the way, he sees this beautiful lady taking a bath. And so right there we know it's trouble for David. And sure enough, David, being the king and being curious and being powerful, he ends up sending his servants out to find out who this beautiful lady is. And so they go and do some recon, do some research, and they come back to David and they say, well, her name's Bathsheba, which is kind of funny, right? Because she was taking a bath and her name's Bathsheba. I know, it's corny, I know, but I thought it was funny. And so her name's Bathsheba, and that she's actually married to a guy that works for David, that her husband is off fighting the war for David, that he's a soldier. And so David, not being so bright, ends up inviting Bathsheba over to his place. And what ends up happening is they end up having a one-night stand, and then Bathsheba goes back to her place, and eventually she sends word back to David that she's pregnant. Not good news for David. That's not what David wanted to hear. And so now David's in this predicament, and he can't possibly start letting people find out what he did. And so he starts trying to think of how he can cover this up, because it would not be good if her husband found out that the guy that he's working for got his wife pregnant. That would add a lot of drama, and that just wouldn't make him look good. And so David, he thinks of a way that he can covers this up. And so he thinks of the idea of sending his servants out and getting Bathsheba's husband and bringing him home for the night, in the hopes that he'll sleep with his wife, and so thus he'll think that he got her pregnant, not someone else. So sure enough, he sends his servants out. The servants bring him back, except he doesn't sleep with his wife that night, because, see, he feels guilty that all his other comrades, all his other friends, soldiers are out fighting a war, sleeping in tents. So he can't possibly, with a good conscience, go home and sleep with his wife in his own bed. And so he sleeps in a tent with some other soldiers in the city. So David, being irritated and frustrated that his plan didn't work, thinks of plan B, and this time he thinks it's brilliant. And so he invites Bathsheba's husband over that night and gets him drunk. And then he sends Bathsheba's husband on his way, drunk, in the hope that now he'll go home and sleep with his wife. But once again, he doesn't go home, and so now David's running out of options, running out of time. So out of desperation, he ends up sending Bathsheba's husband to the front lines, where the battle's the bloodiest and the chances of surviving are not good at all. And sure enough, Bathsheba's husband gets killed fighting for David. It's messed up stuff, right? And we thought our politicians were bad and scandalous. They were way back then too. And then David ends up marrying Bathsheba and taking him as his wife to cover the scandal and the plot. And so in chapter 12 is where we pick up the story, and a guy by the name of Nathan comes into play here. And Nathan knew of David, knew of the scandal and all the things that David had done. So chapter 12, this is Nathan talking to David. It says this: there were two men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little lamb he had bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, that's gross, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the one who had come to him. So here's what we have. We have this rich guy, lots of sheep, lots of cattle. His buddy's coming through town, wants to prepare a meal for him like any good hostess would do. And so instead of taking his own sheep, his own cattle, goes to this poor guy and takes his lamb. And this lamb was a prized possession to this family. It was their pet. And takes the lamb and cooks it for his buddy. Some pretty low stuff, right? And so after hearing this story, it says this, that David burned with anger against the man and said to Nathan, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die." David's ticked off. David can't believe that a guy would go this low, that this rich guy would do such a thing. And so David says this, he must pay for that lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity. So David wants revenge. David wants justice. It's payback time for this rich guy. Now listen to this because this next part is key here. Nathan says this to David. Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man." Nathan's like, "No, slow down, David. You're missing the point. David, you are the rich man. David, you're the man with no pity. David, you had sex with another man's wife, and you got her pregnant, and then to try to cover it up, you killed him. David, you're the man. You're the rich man. You're the man with no pity, don't you see?" And it clicked in David's head, and David realized what he had done. And see, just like David didn't understand what he had done and the self-deception that he had, we too have a limitless capacity for self-deception. See, just like David didn't see his downfall, his brokenness, we do too. And if we aren't willing to get feedback from other people, if we aren't willing to listen and to learn, then we can't overcome the problems that we have, because if we can't identify the problems that we have, then we can't fix the problems that we have. And so really what I'd like to suggest this morning is that one of the greatest things that we can do as a parent, as a spouse, as a student, as an employee, is to invite feedback, to ask for feedback. And here's the thing, because when we ask for feedback, when we invite feedback, what we're really saying to ourselves and to other people is that we don't have it all together, that there are things in our lives where we can improve on, that we can grow, that there are blind spots in our lives, that there are problems, there are character and integrity problems in our lives, that we can become better. And the tough thing for me and for you, though, is that asking for feedback, it's not intuitive. It doesn't come naturally to us. That asking for feedback, it's tough asking someone else where we can grow and improve. But if we are willing to do that, then we'll benefit from it greatly, because it'll get us moving in the right direction. And so I think really the question that we all have to ask ourselves, that I have to ask myself and that you need to ask yourself is this: do I really want to be great? Do I really want to be a great parent, the kind of a parent that my children deserve me to be? Do I want to be a great spouse, the kind of husband, the kind of wife that my significant other deserve? Do I love them, and do I treat them with respect? The kind of love and respect that they deserve to be treated as? Do I want to be a great employee, the kind of employee that benefits the company? Do I want to be a great boss, manager, the kind of manager that helps the people under me, that gets them moving in the direction, helps them succeed? Do I want to be a great friend, the kind of a friend that's life-giving instead of life-taking? Do I want to be a great student, the kind of student that's a positive influence to the other students around me, that's a positive role model? Do I want to be great, or do I just want to be thought of as great? Do I just want to think of myself as great? I love how Bill Hybels, a fabulous communicator and leader, he says that we need people in our lives that'll tell the last 10%. So you see, what he suggests, and this is absolutely fascinating to me, because what he suggests is that there's people in our lives that'll give us feedback, but they only give us 90% of it. And that really what he says is that we need the other 10%, that's 10% is the key. See, what he suggests is that people often tell us that, we're a piss poor boss, and that we need to become better as a parent, and that we're not that great of a person. But they don't clearly name the issue. They don't tell us about the ego problem that we have and how we're constantly self-promoting us in an arrogant way. They don't tell us about all the insecurities that we have that they see that we don't see. They don't tell us about all the gossip and rumors that we're spreading that we're not even aware of. They don't go the last 10%. They don't clearly name the problem that we have. And I think that's exactly what Nathan did to David, is that Nathan went the last 10% with David, that Nathan clearly told David the problem that he had that David didn't see. So you see, it would have been much easier for Nathan not to have gone the last 10%, just to go the 90%. It would have been much easier for Nathan to have told David the parable, the story about the rich guy and the poor guy, and then to hope that David would read between the lines and that David would have figured out his problem by himself. In fact, that would have been the safe bet, because we also have to understand Nathan was just a guy and David was king. David could have Nathan killed instantly for saying something that hurt like that. But Nathan had the hard conversation with David anyways and said, "No, Nathan, you're the guy. You're the rich guy. You're the guy with no pity. David, here's the problem that you don't see." And for me personally, whenever I think of the last 10%, I think of a conversation that me and Adam had a couple years ago. And it was while I was just attending Narrate and helping out with some student stuff. And me and Adam would meet every couple months or so. And so we had somewhat of an acquaintance. And thus, Adam knew enough to know about me that I was abusing alcohol and that I was underage drinking. And so Adam emailed me, asked if I'd grab lunch with him, and so I did. And that day, Adam started a hard conversation with me, a conversation I'll never forget, because what he started to do was he started naming the implications of me choosing to underage drink and to abuse alcohol. And he said, "Caleb, not only are you on the verge of getting in trouble and getting an MIP and a DUI and going to jail, but Caleb, also your character, your integrity are on the line right now. That you're losing respect with the people in this community and the people around you." And said, "Caleb, you really have two choices. You can choose to continue to underage drink and abuse alcohol, and in turn, you're going to continue to lose the respect in this community, and you're going to continue to lose your character and your integrity. And thus, you can't be part of student lives because of how detrimental that would be to them, and the lack of influence that you'll have, and how hypocritical that will be, and the lack of respect that you'll have on students' lives, as well as other leaders and parents. So you can do that, Caleb, or you can choose to be a person of character, be a person of integrity, and choose to make the hard choices in life. You can choose to quit underage drinking, quit abusing alcohol, and in turn, to become better, to be a person of influence, and to be a person that people respect, and pour into students and other people in your life. And every time I look back at that conversation, I only gain more and more respect for Adam, because he it could have been much easier for him not to have gone the last 10% with me. See, it would have been much easier for Adam just to have get a hold of me, send me an email, grab lunch with me, and say, Caleb, you can't be a part of student stuff because you're doing something illegal, and we're a church, and so legally and student stuff and parents, it'll be best if we just move on and leave it at that. But instead, Adam went the last 10% with me, and he clearly named the problem, the issue that I had, and he painted 2 pictures for me. Over here, you can choose to continue to make the easy choices in life, continue to underage drink, and do what it seems like everyone else your age is doing. Or Caleb, over here, you can make the hard choices in life and do the next right thing and become better where you're at right now and become a person of influence. Here's your choices. And without sounding too dramatic, that conversation literally changed my life. And I think what's key here is that Adam told me the last 10%. He clearly named the issue. But he also did it graciously. He did it compassionately. He didn't tell me I was going to end up being a pile of crap. He didn't say that, that I'd go nowhere in life. He didn't say that he didn't want to associate himself with me anymore. He didn't say I couldn't attend Narrate anymore. He just said, Caleb, here's the information. Here's the feedback. Here's the truth. Graciously. And then he said, Caleb, the rest is up to you. It's whether you want to change or not and to become better or not. Here's the feedback. And ultimately, the win's not getting feedback. Ultimately, the win is engaging in the feedback that you get. See, ultimately, the win is to listen and then to learn and then choose to grow, to improve, to become better. And Dr. Henry Cloud, a brilliant guy, I love how he says it. He says that in order to change, in order to become better, it really takes 3 things. It takes grace plus truth plus time. It takes someone to graciously uncover the truth that we don't see. It takes someone compassionately to tell us a problem that we don't see, a blind spot in our life. And then it takes time. It takes time to change and to improve and to become better. The 3 key ingredients. And I also love how a communicator from North Point Church said it. He said that one of the key questions that I can ask other people in my life, that you can ask people in your life, is this: if you were me, what would you do differently? That the people that you have a relationship with, that you trust, that great question you can ask them is, if you were me, what would you do differently? And so who are the people in your life that you can ask that of how can I grow, how can I improve, how can I become better? See, just like Nathan or David had someone in his life uncover the truth for him, he had Nathan, we do too. We need people in our lives that'll help uncover the truth for us that we don't see. And so my challenge and my question to you guys is who's your Nathan that who loves you that much that'll help uncover the truth for you? Because when you have the truth can help set you free and really grow you. So who's your Nathan this week? And so my challenge for all of us, that no matter where you're at in life or who you are, is that this week we'd ask for feedback. We'd invite feedback. That this week you'd sit down with your spouse and you'd look at him, her, and you'd say, okay, I know I'm not the perfect spouse. How can I become better? How can I grow? How can I love you more? How can I make you feel more respected? What is that? That you would sit down with your kids at the dinner table and you'd say, okay, I know I can be a jerk sometimes. I know I can yell at you guys, but guys, how can I become a better parent? How can I grow? What are some things that I can spend time with you doing? And I think you'll be surprised by some little things, some little improvements that you can make. That you as a boss, as a manager, would pull a couple employees in this week, and you'd say, okay, I'm not the perfect boss. How can I become more fair? How can I make you succeed more? That you'd sit down with a friend that you know well, and you'd tell them, okay, I know you know me well. What's one area that I can improve my character, my integrity, and you choose to work on it. That you as an employee, and this is a tough one, that you'd make an appointment with your boss, your manager, and you'd say, okay, how can I benefit this company? What's one thing I can start doing? What's one thing that I need to stop doing? Ask for feedback. And then my second challenge is that some of you need to be the Nathan this week. That some of you, there's people in your lives that are self-deceived, that they don't see a problem that they have in life, and no one else is going the last 10% with them. Everyone else is ignoring it because that last 10% is difficult and hard. And so my challenge to you is that this week you would be a Nathan, and that you would go the last 10% with them, and that you grab lunch, grab coffee, and you clearly name the problem, the issue that they have. But just remember that it takes grace plus truth plus time, and so do it graciously, do it compassionately. So I don't know where this lands for all of you guys this morning. So some of you are addicted to pornography, and you're on the verge of losing your marriage. So some of you are losing your relationships with your kids, with your spouse, because of your lack of engagement with them. So some of you, your character, your integrity are on the line because of your actions, your choices, the things that you're saying to other people. So some of you have a pride issue, an anger issue, a gossip issue, whatever that is in your life. My hope for you, my prayer for you this week is that you would ask for feedback, you would invite feedback, and you'd listen and you'd learn. But because the difference between where you are right now and where God wants you to be just may be the problem that you don't see because you're self-deceived. And so what if all of us as a community, as a church, as a group of people did exactly that? We invited the feedback, we engaged in the feedback that we get, that we listened and we learned, and we chose to grow. What if we all chose to become better? Because we all need you to lead.
If you would like to engage further with Narrate Church, you can find contact information online, www.narratechurch.org. We would love to hear from you.